Hey family.
Hey everyone.
Hey family, how you
Come
doing?
on
How
in
you doing up there? We are live.
the
King Talk is live on a Wednesday night in the late May on a stormy day in Baltimore. Coming to you live on a Wednesday night with my esteemed co-host, Cortez Ransom, dynamic brother, Doshawn Farad, brother and journalist, and our reoccurring queen, Kenya Chase, here on King Talk on a Wednesday night. Just let this
Hello folks. Let's make it do what it doggone do.
This is the Rotary Connection. I am the Black Gold of the Sun. We do not own any copyrights to this music, so do not come after us. Shout out to Minnie Rickerton. Happy ancestral return to that queen. All right.
Let's get into this.
Yeah. So it's good to be here, family. You know, this is King Talk on a Wednesday night. I am Alex Iowas, and I'm just going to let everybody else, introduce themselves. You guys know, I'm one of the co-hosts, of the, of this podcast called King Talk, and I'll let everybody else check in, and and then we'll take it from there.
No, go ahead, Kenya.
Hi, I'm Kenya Chase, singer, actress, and just writer. That's who I am. Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Hotep Dashan Farad, journalist, and some say journalist and activist.
And I am Cortez Ransom, the other host of King Talk, actor, singer, screenwriter, playwright, director, blacktivist, empath, you name it. I'm all about Black people, period. So we're going to get into this. This is part 2 of our discussion on religion, the great divider. We're going to get right into that, or you wanted to talk about briefly about a couple of current events right quick, or just go right into the religion? Because we only had Brother Doshawn for a short time.
Yeah, we only got him for like a half an hour, family. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the brother Paul Mooney, who just recently, very, very recently transitioned. I just want to give a shout out to the transition of that brother and say happy ancestral return to the great comedian and activist and speaker of truth to power, that he was, that sort of a thing. I just wanted to basically just run over some things. Basically, COVID-19 restrictions are eased, but it caused mass confusion. So, and it seems like that the move by the government is almost like deliberate, to cause confusion amongst the masses as far as masking is concerned. The Middle East has erupted again in what has been an age-old, or basically as far as modernity is concerned, a struggle between the Israelites, that are there. The reason why I'm hesitating to say Israelites, because we understand them as the Khazars, or what you would call the Ashkenazis.
That's why they never refer to as Israelites. They always say Israelis.
Yeah, the Israelis. And we understand that they are Jewish. They're not the real actual Jews. The actual real Jews are Semitic people. So that has erupted again. And then there was something else that I seen this morning. It says that I didn't see it. Well, I see it this morning of Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are pushing for legislation to basically completely revamp our Holocaust as a people. They're pushing for legislation to completely the revision, create this revisionist history around what slavery actually was and around what our Holocaust was and still is as a people. So I just wanted to put that out there, as well.
Something like that's been going on for years, where they wanted to rewrite how slavery went down in the history books, trying to make it seem like it was some damn kind of work release program or some shit. They sent us over here just to voluntarily work, and all this bullshit. They've been trying that for several years now, trying to rewrite history, but we can't allow that to happen. We have to make sure that we keep the truth going and stop trying to accommodate this racist society, skipping around their feelings and so forth, because the European Jewish-ish people, they never let anybody forget what their ancestors went through, and they will not allow anybody to rewrite their history. And so we should never allow, we can't just sit back and take that and allow Mitch McConnell or Bitch McConnell and whoever else to rewrite our history. It's up to us to make sure that we instill and remind our children and raise our children with what really happened and how things went down. That's up to us. Like Malcolm X said, my honorary granddaddy Malcolm X said, only a fool allows his enemy to educate his children. And what we see today are the results of that. That's why our people so damn mixed up now.
Right, because we understand that the education that we got when we was coming up was not to the full truth of what this country stands for and what this country has always stood on and stands for, and is basically what this country was conceived in. That sort of a thing. Shout out to that one family member that's there. Let me go ahead and turn on the.
Shout out to that one.
Yeah, it's one family member that's out here, and I was, just want to say shout out to them. I went on here to turn the comments on. Actually, we got like 2 people in here now, so I just want to shout out, to both of the family members. Thank you for joining us here on King Talk. On our second part on religion. It's called, Religion, the Great Divider, the Outer Delusion, and we could just jump right into it.
Yeah, we should.
I can basically, I just wanted to really, that whole thing about, McConnell, we can just use that to just go ahead and just segue in, because basically when as far as, if you look up on the flyer, you'll see like the flyer for this particular show, you will see a Caucasian woman, she looks pretty big, and she looks like she's floating on air, and looks like she's floating from the east to the west. And basically what that is manifest destiny. That is the symbol for manifest destiny. When you see that, it's on the flyer, I don't have like screen share or anything like that. But if you would go to look at the flyer, you will see a pretty big, Caucasian woman, with flowing raiment, and she's flowing from the east to the west is what she's doing. And that is what the colonizers, when they came over here, as far as the settlers are concerned, that's what they were on when they got here. They were already under the rules. They were already under the rules that they were going to, in a sense, it was time for them to, to take over. That sort of a thing. And I have my notes right here. So I just wanted to just put this out, of what manifest destiny is. I just wanted to to give a little history on it, and then we can just hop right into it. That sort of a thing. It was coined by John O'Sullivan in 1845, and he was espousing this while he was espousing this during the annexation. What what annexation means is it's basically a land grab. Is what it is. It's adding on to land, but basically I would call it, it's just a big word, for a land grab. But he was espousing this while he was espousing the annexation of Texas.
Mhm.
And what he wrote is, he basically says here, it was our manifest destiny to overspread the continent allotted by providence. And if you look up providence basically means God. That sort of a thing. For the free development of our yearly multiplying millions. That's what he said that's what John O'Sullivan said in 1845. He said it was our manifest destiny to overspread the continent allotted by providence for the free development of our yearly multiplying millions. So that's the mindset that they were in when they were settling the United States, when they were basically settling, what the United States was going to become, to be, that's the mindset, that they pretty much was under. Not everybody adhered, to this, particular mindset, but a great deal of Caucasus people at that particular time did. Then, at that particular time, the term manifest destiny really didn't catch. This was in, if I'm not mistaken, this was in June. This was in June of that particular year. In December of that year, he wrote something else. And when he said this while espousing the annexation of Oregon. So, the first time he used the word manifest destiny, he was espousing it while he was trying to justify the annexation, of Texas. And then this particular data on that year, he's espousing it while he's trying to justify the annexation of Oregon. And he writes, and the claim by the right of our manifest destiny to overspread and to possess the whole continent which Providence has given us for the development of the great experiment of liberty and federated self-government entrusted to us, basically, is what he and I just wanted to basically start it off that way, because with that whole term manifest destiny, for the plain simple fact is that it what does it do? It basically reveals the mindset that they were under when they were conquering. It's basically when they were settling the land. That sort of a thing. So I think Brother Deshaun is gone. He's out of here. Well, he's back. So if somebody wants to tackle that, they can. But I think I wanted to make an inroads in on that, because of the word providence, and basically them feeling that they had the divine right to settle the land and shape and form the land as far as their ideology is concerned into what they wanted to be, because they had the divine, or shall we say the God-given right to do so. And what you see with this whole push by McConnell and the Republicans to completely revise your history and your Holocaust here is that same mindset. That same mindset that we, are endowed with the divine right to shape and form this nation into what we want it to be. Whether, the autochthonous people, or shall we say the melanated people of the land, like it or not. That sort of thing. So if somebody wants to go into that, we can. That sort of thing. So I'm gonna shut up because I've been doing a lot of talking. It sounds like I'm doing
Well,
like a lecture or something like that.
well, we only have Brother Delusion for a period of time here, short little time here, but basically we need to discuss why we would allow them to do that, why we keep being passive and allowing them to try to rewrite our history, and why we keep romanticizing our oppression, calling it a beautiful struggle and all this other kind of stuff. No knocks against, there's not a knock against this organization that's actually out of Baltimore called something about the beautiful struggle. And that name has always bothered me, that it's called a beautiful struggle, because after a while, after 400 years, the struggle is not beautiful anymore. This is damn right horrific. So we need to stop romanticizing our oppression and call it the ugly shit that it is. And so we can wake the fuck up and wake our children up and keep our children awake by making sure that we don't keep allowing these people to teach our children and to change our narrative. We have to stay in control of our narrative. That's how they're able to keep us under this psychosis. Because we're sitting here waiting on God to come save us, the version of God that they've been taught that's going to come save us, when God has given us the high power I know has given us the power to save ourselves. So we're sitting here waiting year after year after year, century after century after century, waiting for God to come save us. And the God I know is like, what you waiting on me for? I gave you the power to go do it, to save yourself. Stand up and do it. So is Brother Deshaun here?
Yes, he is. He's still here. He's still here. Let me see if he's still here, and I think he's still listening. Brother Deshaun, do you want to tackle that?
Yes, absolutely. America has always been in denial of Black and red suffering, if you would. And I say Black and red, Black and Native American suffering. By that I mean, most people who are advocating the eradication of teaching critical race theory, primarily white conservatives and even a few foolish Black conservatives, are failing to realize that we have you hardly see Native Americans. There would have been no United States of America had it not been for the enslavement of millions and millions of Africans, as well as the mass genocide of millions and millions of Native Americans. And of course, I was watching something today. I was watching Fox this morning, Fox News, and there was a gentleman on there. He was a British man by the name of Murray, and he had accused those who teach critical race theory as he accused them of attempting to rewrite history. So, with all these history books that tell us that our enslaved ancestors have built America, and there were Native Americans here. Okay, well, fine. If we're rewriting history, if we're making stuff up, okay, plain and simple. Okay, we won't even mention the slavery aspect of the development of the United States. Where are the Native Americans? They're on reservations. So that right there is common sense enough to know that we're not making this stuff up. No one wants to address the massacring of Native Americans and the enslavement of Africans. And I should say primarily on the conservative side, those people that identify as conservative, but you also have a few on the liberal side who would do the same thing. You know, one thing what Malcolm had said is that, as Malcolm X has stated, he referred to the conservative as the wolf and the liberal as the fox. The conservatives are more outward with their racism, outward with their nonsense, whereas the liberals, you have liberals, Black liberals, white liberals that say dumb things too regarding history. We see this all the time, from the root and the griot. We see that all the time. And I don't want to start naming names, but anyway, we actually know what someone like a Damon Young, okay, Black liberals say dumb things about our history. So anyway, America itself has been guilty of revisionism for the past several centuries. And we, more than anyone, Black people and Native Americans, we know this more than anyone. And so this is why you have people like me in media who write. I'm not just a broadcaster, but I write and document our history. But I've also written historical articles as well, discussing our history in America as well as our history before America. But it's important for us to write our own history and to make sure that these bastards, these demons, do not attempt to erase what took place. And I said a long time ago in an article that I wrote, if we're not careful, if we're not careful, in the next 500 years, Dr. Martin Luther King will be a white man.
That reminds me of the fact that a few years ago, where there was a controversy about it, that play On the Mountaintop was done somewhere by a black theater in another state. And the black director came up with the fucking bright idea where she casted two different, or was it a he? It was a black director who casted two people as Martin Luther King, and they alternated playing the role because it ran for several nights. And she casted a black actor to play Martin Luther King, but she also casted a white actor to play Martin Luther King. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? But of course, there was a big backlash on that. Some black people were upset about it, and of course, you always have some black people who excuse it and thought that it was nothing wrong with the black director casting a white man as Martin Luther King. Of course, the playwright who wrote that play had a big problem with it, and had put a stipulation in there that no one can ever cast a Caucasian to play Martin Luther King
on the table.
Right. I wanted to, Sister Kenya, did you want to chime in?
Well, as far as religion and all that, me personally, what I'm trying to teach my children is about their history and the spiritual, not religion, but the spiritual practices of our ancestors. That's where I am. Because before I've actually traced back to my roots to see exactly how they, honored God, the creator of all things, earth, water. They just did different things that wasn't man-made things that not man-made, but things that's like going to church, going to a building. So if I don't go to a building, that means that I'm not spiritual. Like that part of it, all of the drama and the craziness and the things that we've been taught. I want to learn about my history of my people and how my people served, because they were strong and they didn't look outside of themselves, because they knew that the God that created all things dwelled within them. That's just me. That's just how I view it. So I'm teaching my children something just different than what I grew up. That's my more history.
Most definitely more powerful.
Our history, not somebody else's history.
And as we see, they are definitely trying. They're really, really pushing this through, to try to completely rewrite.
Hold on.
Can you hear us, Sister Kenya?
Can't hear y'all. Hold on. It's really, really faint. Let me. I'm gonna leave and then come back in.
Okay. And when you come in, I'll let you in.
Okay.
All right. So basically, yeah, they're trying. They're doing it. And a lot of it, another reason why they said that they were doing it, well, of course, they're trying to rewrite our history to, basically create a groundwork. What you say?
They're attempting to sanitize American history, which in turn would sanitize European history.
Right. True. Because they want to take the onus. They want to take the onus off of what it was, that they had did and what they continuously, hold on for a second. What they have, continuously, have, committed against us, that sort of a thing. And then they also said that they don't want little Caucasian kids to be taught how to hate themselves. I heard that too as well.
And then you have some accommodationist Negroes who love to accommodate white people who will agree with that bullshit because they don't want their black children to grow up hating white people. Yet they don't have any problem with black children growing up hating other black people. We're so concerned about trying to stop hatred towards other races, but we don't do anything to eradicate the self-hatred in our own community. That should be our first fucking priority.
That's right.
To eradicate the self-hatred within our people. I don't want to hear shit about not being divided from other races. Like Malcolm X said again, we can't have unity with some other race until we have unity within our own race. That's what we need to be working on. That needs to be our focus, first and foremost. And once we do that, everything else will be taken care of. Plain and simple. Well, once we decide to put us first, they won't be able to erase our history because we will be in charge of that, teaching that to our children. And what Sister Kenya was talking about, you know, being spiritual and all that versus religious, because, you know, I went to church and all that too, and all that religious stuff, and they teach you how to look at the higher power as something that's outside of yourself, whether that's something that's inside of you. I don't subscribe to that anymore, and I haven't for some time now. I know that the creator, that spirit, that energy lives within me. It's not some outside entity, and it damn sure doesn't look like a white person. Okay. Right. And so I subscribe to, I'm very much in tune with that spirit of the ancestors and the spirit of the creator that lives within me. And I'm not looking outside of myself for that. And that's why a lot of our people are still lost. That's where that psychosis comes from, because they're still hypnotized and looking outside of themselves for this great white sky daddy to come save them. And that's why we won't stand up like we should. That's why we keep letting them get away with what they do to us. And we were so ready to attack our own people, but yet we keep readily forgiving everything that they do to us, no matter how egregious or atrocious it is. We keep forgiving them for everything, but yet we will turn around and hold grudges against our own people for petty shit.
Right. And so, you know, because I was looking at the fact that, you know, of what, you know, Tim Scott had said, you know, that America is not a, you know, racist country, which he did say. And then, you know, y'all girl Kamala Harris, she said it too. Basically,
yeah, and there were two different.
America's not a racist country, and so they're pushing it through, and and some of us are already starting to purge that out and purge that type of narrative out, you know, to our people.
And
you know,
even how people reacted to that, versus how they reacted, how people went after Tim Scott and put up all types of memes and calling him all types of names for saying America is not a racist country. But they made all types of excuses for Kamala Harris saying the same exact thing.
Because she's a Democrat.
That's right. They did not attack her like they attacked Tim Scott.
Because she's a Democrat. And our people, if you notice that most of our people have been so hypnotized to becoming Democratic loyalists, that it's okay for someone, say, for example, if you're a Democrat or a liberal, you say something stupid regarding race or racism, that's okay, especially if you're black. But if you're a conservative or black, especially if you're a black conservative, you say something dumb as what Tim Scott said and Kamala Harris said, you get attacked.
Right.
Yeah, because I definitely wanted to bring that up because we're already doing it. We're already on it, and we're already promulgating that and pushing that out to our people. And it's high time. It's high time. It's like, it's almost as, you know, it's not even almost as if, it's like still we are being basically seen as a commodity here, you know, as a commodity, and, you know, and as something to be used as basically a product.
Well, family, I gotta go now, family. I'll talk with you.
Right.
Thanks for having me, brothers and sisters. You be safe.
All right, brother Deshaun.
Thank you, brother Deshaun.
All right. Peace out, brother.
Black power.
Right.
Always.
So, yeah, it's messed up. It's really truly it's messed up. Let me because I had to mute Sister Kenya, it seemed like, that sort of thing. Sister Kenya, we were talking about what you was, you heard. Did you want to chime in on what Sister Kamala said and what brother Tim Scott said?
Well, I mean, for me, that's just the whole facade. It's like everybody thought Democrats, because for so many years we felt like they were for us. But the truth is, that's not what the real deal is. I mean, once we start building our own, like I still feel like I love me some Shahrazad Ali. She stays speaking so much truth about our people and how we'll be able to reconnect. Shazara Ali always talked about how once our black man respects a black woman and a black woman respects a black man, then we can start to build. Because we keep trying to fit into a society that was not built for us, that was not created for us, and never intended to have a spot for us, that where we will be created as some equal people out here living life and building things. We have to learn, we have to heal our people by learning how to respect our people. That's just how I feel. That whole Kamala Harris thing, I mean, that's part of the facade for me. I mean, they say the same exact thing, and I just think it was stupid coming out of both of their mouths. And it's very true. What you mean that there's no racism? It doesn't exist. Then what in the world did our people experience? Did our ancestors experience if it did not happen? It was so dumb. It's stupid to say.
And we're still experiencing it today.
Yes, it's just modern day. It's modern day slavery. What you think a jail is? The moment that slavery ended, the jails began. That was just a whole flip of mindset. It was physical slavery, but it went from physical to mental slavery. So now we got all our men in jail. So if they're in jail, of course they can't be fathers. They cannot be the head of the household so they can build up the woman. So the woman now got to take a man position. And now she in a position that don't belong to her because the man is probably in jail or dead. I mean, like, it's just another way of breaking up our families and stopping us from building. But we have to know that we have the power. And if we didn't, they wouldn't get so concerned every time we try to come together. I was watching something on YouTube and it was talking about Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And just like listening to and watching all of the details of how great they became, they were so freaking scared of our success that they had to blow up and bomb and kill all those good people and eliminate that whole generation of ancestors for some people. It's just, if we did it that time, I just feel in my heart that once we really get serious, or a group of people, not even everybody, because we're not going to be able to get everybody. A group of people get serious about it and start building. We can start there. That's just how I feel.
Right.
We need to. There's nobody really fighting for us.
Right.
Oh, I totally
because
agree.
It's like, where is the national, all of this stuff that's going on, even with the little things, that I pointed out, where's the National Black Caucus in this?
Yeah, where's everybody? Where's anybody?
You never hear about them when it's like they're promulgating this stuff and they're pushing this stuff through to basically change your whole course, of history, which is, like I said, it's the same thing. It's them feeling that they have the divine right to just do what they want. And us, we're just so, I feel a lot of us are just so divided along the lines of our belief systems that we can't gather the unity that we need in order to really do what you're saying, what you're talking about doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
It's a lot of us are on autopilot, and it's because of the fundamental teaching, yes, that God is something that is outside of you. It's something that is not in you, and that is a plan. And of course, certain people in the government want to keep that going. They want to. That's why they want to. That's why they want to revise the education, because they want to keep their lies and everything that was downloaded into us. When we were coming up, as far as the programming is concerned, they want to keep all that stuff going because it keeps us stuck on autopilot. It keeps us warring against one another. That sort of a thing. But I wanted to point out there was an emperor. His name was Saladin. You guys can look him up. He was from he was an Islamic ruler. His name was Saladin. Look him, just look him up. I just want to mention.
I think I've heard of him though.
Okay, when Christianity became imperialized under Constantine, because remember it became imperialized under Constantine when they convened the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD is when they convened the first council of Nicaea, and of course they canonized everything, and they created what was called the Nicene Creed. Then in 381 AD, they came back and they added something to the Nicene Creed as far as what Christendom was going to stand on, as far as what religion, or what the Christian religion was going to be now that it had become imperialized under Constantine. So not too long after this is when they started the Crusades. The Crusades, if you guys are pretty much understand, the Crusades were just the wars, the religious wars, or the holy wars against the Christians and against Christianity and Islam, basically against the marauders, from the north, and the British from the north, and the Moorish caliphates of Spain, Northern Africa, and certain lands, that were spread out, pretty much going all the way towards the Middle East and beyond, what they're calling the Middle East nowadays and beyond. And what had happened was they came in and they sacked Jerusalem. They took Jerusalem from the Islamic, or what I would call the Moorish Caliphate. They took Jerusalem from them. And the reason why they took it is because we were so busy warring against one another as a people that they were able to come in and just, we were caught off guard, and we were caught by surprise. That sort of a thing. What Saladin did was come in, create a cohesion amongst the people, that sort of a thing. And then once we unified as a people, we went back to retake Jerusalem. And the thing about it is when they conquered you, when the Christians conquered you, you were forced to practice, you were forced to give up your whole way of life and practice, their form, of what religion, was, or what they were calling Christianity at that particular time, which, like I said, it was just imperialized. When Saladin took over and took back over Jerusalem and, basically sacked that whole land and reconquered it again, it wasn't the same way. He allowed you to still practice your own. You can still do your own, whatever you felt as though spirit was, or whatever you felt as though religion was, or whatever you felt as though God was. You were still allowed to do that under a Moorish caliphate. Whereas, if, the imperialized Christians attacked you and conquered you, you had to give up your way of life and adhere to what they were calling God and that sort of a thing. And so they've been doing it since, and that was back, pretty much, during the Middle Ages, and they've been doing it ever since that particular time. And so with that in mind, they went, all around the world basically just doing the same thing, attacking, raping, pillaging, and then, colonizing the people, and, and not only the lands of the people, but colonizing the minds of the people as well. But I wanted to bring up Saladin because Saladin was the one who brought all of the different warring factions of our people together so that we could now, as a unified force, go back and reclaim Jerusalem for ourselves. That sort of a thing. And that's what you have amongst us today. The reason why I brought it up is that that's what you have amongst us today. And that's where, in a sense, essence, that's where religion has us. It has us in the different, warring factions amongst one another. And when we're warring against one another that way, there's no way we are ever going to be able, to garner the unity, that we need in order, to back this, beast up off of us and to stop them from basically completely taking our future and basically idealizing or shaping it into what their vision of what they want it to be. That sort of a thing. So I just wanted to we can bring that up. I just wanted to bring that up just to say, that's what was going on back then amongst us as a people is exactly what's going on with us right now as a people. That sort of a thing. And so, that fundamental teaching, that, basically, during the night, which was what the Nicene Creed was about, was that, God was outside of you. It was not something, that was inside of the self at all. It was something that was inside, that was outside of you. That sort of a thing. So I just wanted to, point that. I just basically wanted to point that out, and and either one of y'all, y'all can espouse on it. That sort of a thing, because there's some other things, that I want to look at as well. That sort of thing. It's just some things I just, want to say, basically, that sort of thing. So,
I mean, when they teach you to look at your higher power or something that's outside of you, that's how they maintain that control. Because they keep you looking outward and begging this outward entity to hear you and see you and feel you and do this for you and do that for you, instead of teaching you that higher power lives within you. All this stuff about always blaming everything on this devil. The devil made me do it. The devil made me do this. The devil made me do that. I'm so tired of hearing that bullshit. Okay. That so-called devil only has as much power as you give it over you. People want to talk about temptation this, temptation that. Cut the bullshit. You're only tempted because you want to be. Okay? Ain't no devil in the ground making you do this and that. You have control over yourself. That so-called devil doesn't make you go cheat on somebody that you make vows with to be faithful to. That's your own fucking mind, not some thing in the ground telling you to do that. Okay. So teaching you that God is outside of you, all that does is just make you seem like you're just this little helpless, mindless thing who can't think for yourself. And that's why we're a lot of our people are stuck in this trauma trance, as Dr. Cleo Monargo calls it, stuck in this trance, thinking all kinds of crazy stuff. That's that whole mentality where we can hear Tim Scott say America's not a racist country, and we hear Kamala Harris say the same exact thing, but yet we'll attack him for saying it and excuse her saying it when they both said the same thing. That's psychotic right there. Because if two people say the same exact thing, how can you attack one for saying it and let the other one off the hook for saying it?
Right.
That's some backwards thinking right there. Because she said the same exact thing, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that both of them are married to Caucasians. Not saying that somebody can't be married to a Caucasian, a black person can't be married to a Caucasian and still stand up, which is very rare that they do, because most black people that marry white people are all about trying to keep them comfortable and coddle their feelings and so forth. And if you really are about trying to build up the black family, you can't really build up the black family with a Caucasian or somebody else who's not black. That's just how I feel about it. That's not coming from a place of hatred. That's just what it is. It's the truth. Because you got these black people out here getting with these Caucasians, and they make a baby with a Caucasian, and then that child grows up. And if that child grows up and gets with a Caucasian, 9 times out of 10, your grandchild is just going to look completely white. We've been seeing it happen. Your grandchild is just going to look completely Caucasian. We've been seeing it happen with people like Grace Jones and Donna Ross and other black celebrities who have decided to mate with Caucasians, and their half black children grow up and get with somebody white, and then their grandchildren just turn out to look completely white. The brother Michael Strahan, who is sometimes a sports announcer, and he's on Good Morning America. I think that's the show that he's on. He has 2 daughters that I've seen him. It was a video that came through my Instagram where he was doing his TikTok video with his daughters. Now, Michael Strahan, you can clearly see that he's black, but both of his daughters just look like white girls. Look like 2 skinny white girls. They don't look anything like him. They don't look like they came from him at all. And if you truly love yourself as a black person, why would you want your offspring to look nothing like you?
Right.
And if you say that you really want to honor our ancestors, how are you honoring our ancestors? By erasing them. By erasing them from their own family tree. Making their descendants look like the oppressor.
Right.
It makes no sense to me. That's not coming from a place of hatred. That just happens to be the truth. It is what it is.
Just like those pictures that they were putting up of Serena Williams. Have you guys seen that? Those pictures that they had put up on her, and they were saying, some people were saying that it was something about like lighting, or but she's constantly being. It's almost as if she's every picture that she has this almost. It almost looks clownish, like the way what do you think is behind that?
Well, first of all, I saw when that was first posted, and people was talking about it and saying it was the lighting or it was makeup. But the thing about it is, why would you allow it to be put out there if it was bad lighting or whatever? Because didn't she have to approve those pictures before they were put out there? I mean, wouldn't she have to approve those photos before they will be allowed to be put out there to the public?
Yes, she would. And so
why would she approve that bullshit? Because if I saw some pictures like that had me looking all ghostly and Caucasian, or looking like something from that movie White Chicks with the Wayans brothers, where they were made up to look like.
Because that's exactly how she.
Right.
Which is not much of a laughing matter.
I would not approve a picture of me looking like that. I would not put a picture of me looking all pasty out there like that.
And every picture she takes, she looks like that. Sister Kenya, can you hear me? I think you muted yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
I said, as a female looking at it, I know if she saw that, she knew that didn't match her complexion. Right. And so why? And when you start to think, like, seriously, I like Serena Williams. I've been watching her since her and her sister were small, and you start to think about how she views herself as a black woman, because why would she allow herself to look about 4 or 5 shades lighter than what she actually is, when her skin is actually a beautiful dark brown tone? So what is that about? Is that something that's within? Is that some kind of self-hate? I mean, like, what's the point? Because I know I wouldn't approve a picture where I didn't feel that I was representing myself in the best way. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm just a regular woman. I'm not Serena Williams. You know what I mean? But if I know that that's not my complexion, why would I want that represented and seen by many and plenty of women and young girls that look up to her?
Right.
It just makes you think about how she views herself.
Right.
As a black woman.
Yeah.
Most definitely, because black is something, or what I would call darkness related to your phenotype is seen as something that is lower, that's something that is less beautiful than what a lighter shade would be.
Yeah.
That's sort of the thing. And a lot of that has a really, really, truly does have, when you look into your history, it does have a religioso, there's a religioso origin for that. And because you look at some of the wood cuttings from, like I said, back when when Christianity became imperialized in the Middle Ages, you will see pretty much all of the saints in these, and really, really really pearly, like white and that sort of thing. And all of the devils are these really hideously ugly, or shall we say, grotesque looking, distorted, very, very darkly complected, creatures. That sort of a thing. And that's a strategy. That's a stratagem, and that there's a design behind that, for you to always regulate your phenotype as something that is not of God. Not of God. If like the flyer that I made, if you look on the flyer, you will see this angelic figure who's attacking this really, really demonic looking type of darkly, really, really richly darkly black type of figure, just attacking it, to try to drag it, to try to drive it like back down to hell. That's the thing. And you'll see that this black figure is holding on to this, is still holding on to this white figure, or this Caucasus figure, as is the Caucasus figure is just attacking it. And that sort of thing. And I actually looked at that from an actual church that's out here, like right now, that's putting those particular images out there and mass producing those images even to this very day. So when I tell you that there is a spiritual and a political stratagem behind getting you to see your skin as something that is not of God, it's real. It's real. And it's true. And that's why I put it up there on the flyer, so that people could see it. Because that is what I would call more so, and as we were talking about, the outer delusion. How, certain forms of the way, that religion is taught divides us against ourselves, corrupts our self-concept, and our self-concept, even, as far as how we see ourselves is, as far as what beauty is. And that's why we're constantly, subconsciously, because those symbols work on the subconscious. And that's why we're constantly lighting ourselves up and lighting ourselves up and lighting ourselves up, because we have been subconsciously programmed not to see beauty in our darker skin and in our darker hue. So what I would call our highly melaninated phenotypes and that sort of a thing. It's a real, they've been doing it for centuries. And they're still doing it every day. That sort of a thing. And so I think that's one of the reasons, who knows why she's doing it, but that's one of the reasons. A lot of times people will look at the fact that they won't take it all the way back to the origins to say that that's what Serena was, probably predictably, exhibiting programming. That's what the thing, and that's why she wants to continue to hideously lighten herself up when she knows she don't look like that. That sort of a thing. So it is what it is. And I just wanted to, just point out some other things, that, a lot, from what, and then, I just wanted to point out some other things, we can go, for a little bit, more. That sort of thing. I don't like the fact, that what's taught is that, they really, really don't teach you that, the Bible, or what they would call what's basically called the Word of God, and that sort of a thing, is more symbolism than actual history. It's more symbolism than actual history.
Mhm.
That sort of thing. And a lot of times what they will teach us in church is not, you don't get the symbolism. You don't get the actual breakdown of what the mystery actually really truly is trying to convey to you. What you're being taught is that that is actual history, and that is what actually really truly happened, when that's not the case at all. It actually really truly means something completely different than what was taught to us when we were coming up in church. And we were programmed into thinking that's really actual history, and it's not. And it was done to keep people on this fairy tale level of what this fairy tale level of manifestation is what I'm saying. And you guys can there's many ways that I can break that down. That sort of a thing, as far as all of the symbolism that goes on in that you read in the Bible, that's not really truly what gets taught to you, that sort of a thing.
Right.
So yeah, like the whole, just like let's take it to the New Testament, and and as relating to the Nicene Creed. And the Nicene Creed basically postulates that what some people would call what people worship today, as far as Jesus the Christ, that sort of a thing. That it was that was an actual person, that actually like did all those things. That sort of thing. I know I'm kind of like going right straight to the heart of what Christianity is, and that sort of a thing. But it's really truly not as what's being put out in the Bible, in the way that it's actually taught. That sort of thing. So the whole thing about because back then there was no J. There was no J. As far as the letter J, there was no J. The letter J did not exist back then. They didn't speak English back then. They more or less, they probably spoke something, akin, to Aramaic back then. That sort of a thing. And all of the things, that was related, to what he supposedly had did, like the 5 loaves and the 5 fishes and those sort of things, that's actually really truly more so related to symbolism. It's not related to what we're taught in church. Like, as far as, Christ himself, which we understand that Christ is really a form of consciousness. It's not so much, related, to one person. Christ is actually a form of consciousness that you reach, as a result of, where you are in your spiritual trajectory. But yet still we're taught, there is this person, and it's embodied in this particular one person, and we have to keep genuflecting towards that, as far as per divinity is concerned. And I know this is kind of like a touchy, type of a subject, because I was raised religiously as well. So, but no, that's really truly not the that's not the case. So if you guys want to talk about that, we can talk about that. That sort of thing. Because that keeps us, fundamentally disempowered as well. What we genuflect towards, as far as, what we are seeing, as God, and what we're taught as God. And that pushes, and that like I said, it's still turning you away from, the self. So
Right. I
That's
mean,
what,
of course, it only helps to divide us not only from each other as Black people, but it helps to divide us from ourselves as a Black person when we're raised looking at this image of this pale, long, stringy-haired Caucasian as our supposed savior. That can't possibly create anything positive within our people.
mm-hmm.
That right there divides us from each other as Black people, and it divides us from ourselves as an individual Black person as well. To grow up looking at this image of a Caucasian as our savior, that's why we stay under this psychosis. That's why we keep romanticizing our oppression, calling it a beautiful struggle and all this crap, and talking about how this image is going to come save us from this oppression, which has been going on for 400 years, and and that thing that we keep looking at is not going to come save us, because the true creator who created us is not that. The true creator that created us lives within us, and if we were in tune to that, we would know better. We would know better. We would be in tune to that spirit, and we would stand up for ourselves and stop letting ourselves be controlled by this narrative and worried about how we look to Caucasians, if we look good to them, if we present ourselves well enough for them. Well, who the hell are they that we need to impress them in the first place? Who the hell are they that we have to impress them? They are the ones who have gone across the globe, raping, pillaging, and stealing everything that they had. So why are we trying to impress them? Why are we trying to convince them that we're good people? That makes absolutely no sense to me, but I know why our people do it, because of that psychosis, because of that self-hatred, because of growing up looking at an image of a so-called white savior. That's why we keep wanting their approval and wanting a seat at their table instead of building our own damn table and chairs and the door to go with it. Build our own damn door for our people to walk through. We keep wanting their stuff, or the stuff that they stole. And that's why, and I was watching a video last night. You brought up Paul Mooney earlier, somebody who I greatly admire, because he's somebody after my own heart, because he's very outspoken, and he wasn't worried about stardom. He wasn't worried about losing stardom. He kept it real the whole fucking time, and he didn't care who got mad. He told the truth. Now, I was watching a video that some commentary that somebody did on him, talking about there were people who avoided him or avoided being seen liking his material in fear of being ostracized or shunned themselves. So there were Black people who liked his stuff, but they weren't going to allow anybody to know that they liked what he said, because in fear of being condemned by this society, or fear of being condemned by some Caucasian people. You know, just like I've been told by other Black people, you know, you should tone all that down, tone all that pro-Black stuff down, because white people have the power, white people have the money, white people have all the control. And I'm like, would y'all shut the fuck up with that? First of all, I don't want them to have control over me. And they only have the money and the power and control because they stole it, and we keep giving it to them. True. We keep giving them that power over us. Just like it said in my film, The Eternal Extra. They only have the power because we give it to them. That great white wall is all an illusion because we keep giving them that power over us.
Right.
Instead of standing up and taking back our power. And when I say take back our power, I'm not talking about necessarily, because people always want to think we talk about violence. I'm not talking about going out here and just attacking random people. I'm talking about just standing up for ourselves, deciding that we're going to put ourselves first and build for ourselves and protect what we build, because we have to protect what we build, because they've already shown time and time again that when we do build something successfully, they're not going to leave us alone. they're just going to try to come and destroy it. Because Black Wall Street, which the anniversary of that massacre, that attack on our race, the 100th year anniversary of that slaughter is coming up on Monday and Tuesday of next week, because it started on May 31st and went into June 1st. And that's coming up on Monday or Tuesday, the 100th anniversary of that. But that wasn't the only place that they destroyed. They destroyed Rosewood, another successful Black town. They poisoned the water system in another successful Black town, Allensworth, California, because they couldn't stand that the Black folks that came together and built a successful town. So they came in and poisoned the water system to kill the Black people or make them sick, to so they would lose that town. They've been doing all types of tactics, horrible, sick, sinister tactics to keep us down, because they want to keep us with their foot on our neck and keep us under their control. But we have to stand up and stop allowing it to happen. Like I said, I've actually had people say, Black people say that stuff to me. You don't want to get your big break, and then somebody hears something that you said, and they decide that they want to take it away from you. And like I said before, first of all, I don't want to give them that power over me to be able to take anything from me. That's the problem now. I mean, Nick Cannon spoke up, and then they made him back down. And now he's on some apology tour, apologizing for something that he shouldn't apologize for. Because he didn't even say anything wrong.
For speaking the truth.
Yeah, apologize for speaking the truth.
Because he did speak the truth.
And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do when you're under the control of them, and you're worried about pleasing them instead of keeping your people safe and keeping your future descendants safe. Like I always say, we can't keep passing on the torch of oppression to our children. But unfortunately, a lot of Black people have become complacent with passing on the torch of oppression to our children. You hear Black people say stuff like, "Oh, well, it's not going to happen, and now we're not going to get totally free in our generation. That's up to the next generation to do." Well, to me, that's very selfish. It's very selfish and it's very weak to keep passing that on to the next generation to deal with. And if we keep doing that, we're never going to get free. Like I talked to you a couple of days ago about your great, was it a great nephew? Yes, a great nephew that was born a year or two ago. And I'm like, do you want 30 years from now, 20 years, 25 years from now, for your great
you're talking about my nephew. You're talking about nephew Royale.
Yeah. Do you want him 25 years from now to still have to be dealing with this shit? Because I don't want future generations of Black people to have to keep dealing with this. I don't want the future generations and the upcoming generations to have to keep dealing with this oppression. We're still fighting the same fight that our great-grandparents fought, that our great-great-grandparents fought, and our grandparents fought. We're still fighting for. We're still fighting for our born rights. When does it stop?
It really. That's why I'm going in as where am I going as far as this as far as this religion, because this religion piece really, really, truly has us on spiritual autopilot. And I'm not so much, more so, talking about, all of our people, that believe in a certain type of way. But a great deal of our people feel as though that they don't have to do anything because, as you said, this thing is going to come back and it's going to save them. And then, of course, when that comes back and say, everything else is, it's a huge reset. So why should I do anything? It creates in essence, as a form of spiritual apathy. Why should I do anything when this, the Trump is going to sound and this is going to come back? The sky's going to crack open and there it's going to be, and that's what's going to That's what's going. You know, Kenny Loggins is going to be standing there, and that's what's going to save me.
Oh God.
Kenny Loggins is going to come back here, and brother, you know, you go up on some people's pages, and it's still there. That image, brother, is still.
I know. I've seen
there.
that image. I've seen that image
they don't have a problem with that at all, and they don't see how damaging it is. So that's why I go where I go, because I already know where it is. It's on the level of the subconscious, and on the level of the subconscious, everything is automatic. That's the powerful part of your mind.
I've seen that image of that so-called white savior on some black people's profiles. They put up Caesar Borgia.
Caesar Borgia.
Because that's who that's
exactly who that is.
That picture is. Caesar Borgia.
But they call it Jesus. It was.
Huh?
I said it's not who you were taught that it was.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And hence then go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hence why we stay under this hypnosis, because we've been raised to look at this white person or white thing as our savior.
As your savior.
And that's why we don't fight back. And again, when I talk about fight back, I'm not talking about being violent, you know, because that's where people want to go. I'm talking about, like I said, just standing up for ourselves, deciding that we're going to build our own shit, deciding that we're going to strategize and create and declare sovereignty and have our own judicial system, our own government, everything in place. That's what I mean by standing up for ourselves. Right. Because living under this system, which was not created for us, it was actually created to be against us. We're not going to get anywhere like that. And like you said earlier, they're still, which they've been trying to do for several years now, they're still trying to rewrite our history and make it seem like slavery wasn't this brutal thing that it was, and still is going on. And like just recently, a week ago, whatever, a murder that was committed. Huh?
Sister Kenya, you still there? Hello? Hey, let me see kind of, we've been having like technical difficulties all night. Okay. So let me go ahead and remove her. She should be able to. Sister Kenya, if you can hear me, just go ahead and I think she removed, you know, she should come back. When she comes back, you know, I'll go ahead and I'll let her back into the studio. Go ahead, brother. You know, I didn't, you know, sorry about that.
No, what I was saying is that just like it came out a week ago or so, that a murder occurred at the hands of the police. Mm-hmm. But of course, originally these racist cops lied and said that the brother had been in a car accident. And that's how they explained his injuries, that he had been in a car accident, which he succumbed to those injuries, I believe, at the hospital. He died at the hospital, if I'm not mistaken. But they lied and said that he was in a car accident. And just recently, 2 years after this murder, you know, this video footage comes out showing how they beat him and everything else they did to him. They murdered him. And I'm talking about Ronald Green.
Ronald Green, yeah.
He was killed back in 2019. And these lying racist cops lied and said that he was in an accident, in a car accident. That's how they explained his injuries. They blatantly lied and said that he had been in a car accident when they knew that they caused his death.
Right.
And of course, he's not the only one, because God knows how many other stories they've covered up and try to keep covered up. Like they tried to cover up the Ahmaud Arbery story for a while. Nobody found out about his murder really until 2 months or so after he had been murdered.
Right.
We just need to snap out of it. We have to be strategic on helping out people to snap out of it. Right. You know. Can you ever come back?
she's if like I say, if she's out there, brother, I will definitely let her in. She was kind of like, she went to open her mouth and she was just, so when you just like that, it's like, yeah, something went wrong, as far as the transmission. Something went wrong as far as the transmission is concerned.
Okay.
I feel as though that we, basically covered most of what we needed to cover, as far as as far as the outer delusion of what religion does concern. I feel, we can
They're
go
keeping it,
into
yeah,
solutions.
and plain language, it just keeps us hypnotized.
Right.
It keeps us hypnotized and in this trance. Like how they dangle the little thing in front of your face, little stopwatch or whatever, or little silver watch, and dangle, and you watch it back and forth until you're in this trance. That's what's
It's like a
going
pendulum.
on.
You're talking about the pendulum.
Yeah.
They taking that's what they use to hypnotize you.
Right.
No, that's not a pendulum. I don't know.
But,
you know what I mean.
Sometimes they may think like one of those little old watches that have like a little, that's in a little case.
There's a name for it though that I really can't. Right now I just can't grasp
watch either. But yeah, but they like swing it back and forth in front of your face. And you watch it back and forth until you in this trance, hypnotized.
No, they hypnotize you.
Yeah,
what the one Caucasus lady was doing in Get Out when she was stirring up that coffee, she was doing the same thing. She was hypnotizing him. Yeah. And when they hypnotize you, where do you go? You go to the level of the subconscious, and that's where all the power is.
Yeah, when she was tapping that spoon on that teacup.
But remember, she was stirring it up first. She was doing this,
right?
And she was creating, she was creating a form of energy is what she was doing when she was doing like that. She was already mesmerizing him into what he fell into, and then after that, wham! It's like she had him.
Yeah. No, what I was saying, when she was stirring the tea, every time she stirred the tea, you could hear the spoon hit the cup. And that sound of the spoon hitting the cup is what she had him focusing on.
Right.
That little clink sound, clink up against the cup.
The clink sound plus brother, the stirring of the cup.
Right.
Because what she was doing is she was creating, she was using rhythm. She was using the law of rhythm. Right. To what? To seduce, or shall we say, to focus his energy on. And so every time that the spoon would hit the side of the cup, that just brought him in. That would click him in like even more. She was using the law of what they would call the law of rhythm and the law of vibration is what she was using to hypnotize him. And then to sit him down on the level of the subconscious, where now she could claim, that she had some type of control over him. And with religion, this is what they have done. They put us on that particular level, but on that level is that they put this Caucasus savior on that particular level, and so that's where. Even if we're functioning right on a conscious level, on a subconscious level, we're still seeing Kenny Loggins down there with his arms outstretched, with all this light coming from him, and that's not that's the deal. When we pray and we close our eyes, a lot of us are still imaging that, and you see, like I said, you see it up on people's Facebook, and they're still using the image that was downloaded into them. And on the level of the subconscious, where it's still resonating. So, in order to really come to solution, we have to break that cycle. We have to break that image and dissipate that image and out from, the level of the subconscious and place something there. It can be. It doesn't really have to be replaced with anything, but it could be replaced with something that looks more like us.
They had to find something to snap them out of it. I mean, in the film Get Out,
Right.
what woke people up some was when they
Flashlight.
flashed the phone in their face.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what snapped them when he would do the flashlight. When you did the flashlight on him, it snapped them out of it.
Right.
But of course, the way they had Lakeith Stamp, they had already had him lobotomized.
Yeah, they were
already basically living through his genes.
Well, they took his brain out.
Right. That's exactly what I mean by living through his. They were already living through him vicariously. Mm-hmm. And that's the way that they were going to stay alive. And that's exactly what it is that they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why McConnell and the rest of them are pushing. They know why they're pushing it. Because we got to keep these Negroes. You already got 2 Negroes up there, that's already putting it out. So we got to keep these Negroes on this particular level. We always have to control the narrative when it comes to them. They can't know what the full truth is. Because if they know what the full truth is, they'll empower ourselves, and we will be what? We will be out of power. So that's why they're doing what they're doing. Period. And so that's really that's the solution right there. Is to stop looking at is to deprogram ourselves from how we were taught in church, and what we were taught about religion. And that's why I thought I really needed to go into the history. I know in a sense it's kind of laborious, and people really don't seem like they want to talk about it and that sort of a thing. I understand. I understand that a lot of us, we have the attention span of a gnat.
Right.
Them things that's always flying in you, and they always, and that's us. Just distracted, brother. And a lot of times distracted into the wrong things. And and that's why I brought up Saladin, because back then, when we was ruling, they came in and they attacked from the outside. And the only reason why they were able to beat us is because we were warring against, one another. Because back then, it wasn't the same situation as far as Black Wall Street is concerned. Because back then, we didn't have armies. We had many armies. But we even lost back then because why? Because we were warring against one another and fighting over petty little, beefs, that we had going on back then. And that's what allowed them to come in and take over. And like I said, until Saladin came in and said, no, let's bring the center back together. And then when we unified, boom. So that's where it's at. It's in deprogramming what you were erroneously taught was God coming up. And it's in once you do that, unify. Unify as a people and nationalize as a people. And when you do that, a lot of what's been happening to us and the needless suffering that we've been going on here will cease. It'll fall off, brother.
Right.
And so that's pretty much,
I get that.
Unless you want to add to that, that's all that's pretty much all I'm really trying to say with that is that needs to happen, because as long, we talked about it the other, we talked about it the other night that we keep arriving at the same place over and over again.
Yeah,
that
is a merry-go-round, as I call it.
That right there, brother, is a result of programming. Is a result of mental programming where we're just on autopilot. And it's business as usual. And it's normalcy as usual.
Right.
But as I was telling one brother, that we've never achieved normalcy here. Never. It was never, with Black Wall Street and with Rosewood, we got close to achieving that. But of course, you see what happened when we were actually getting close to creating some type of, when we were administering reparations, towards ourselves. Let me put it like that. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the solution. I don't want to go into anything else. We've been at it for an hour and a half. I felt as though I just needed to, bring some things up. Sister Kenya.
I just saw a text pop up from Kenya saying that her phone died or something.
Okay. Well, Sister Kenya, if we are very, very appreciative that you came forth. We're very, very appreciative that you came forth and that you shared your wisdom and your knowledge and your speaking truth to power with us. And we're always happy to have you here. And
yes,
just want to say thank you.
Thank you for your powerful words. As always powerful, on point for what she says.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
She just went right straight to the solution, brother. She just went like right there.
Yeah, she did.
Seeing God within herself, basically, But
right.
I wanted, I really, really wanted us to go more, shall we say, into like the history. That's why we bring it up. But I understand that a lot of times that's a laborious subject, to deal with, and we just got so many things going on as a people. A lot of times we don't want to look into our history, but we should.
Right.
We really, really should, because that's where the truth really, really is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just want to give a shout out, to the our reoccurring guests and dynamic brother and journalist, great journalist, Doshan Farad, for coming and always sharing great words and great inspiration.
Always
speaking truth, the power, with us here on King Talk tonight. So another thing I want to say. Go ahead.
Thank you to both Kenya Chase and Doshan Farad, and thank you to whoever did come in here to view this and whoever will watch it later on. Thank you. And if you haven't already, please do share this video, share and like it, hit that like button, and go on over to the YouTube King Talk Black page and subscribe. There's like almost 500 people on this page, the Facebook page. Definitely, as you said the other day, it would be a great help if those almost 500 people were to go over and subscribe to the YouTube page. So please do that. It'll be greatly appreciated, and spread the word.
Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I don't have the link in the chat right now. I will put the link in the chat. I will put the YouTube link in the chat. After we get up off of here, brother. I will definitely put the YouTube link in the chat, and then we can then they can click on that link. It'll take them directly to the YouTube page. And as my esteemed co-host, family, pointed out, just go there, family, like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It only takes a few minutes. Like and subscribe so that we can really, really truly.
It don't even take a few minutes. It just takes a couple of seconds. You go to the page.
Yeah. I'm not talking about a few minutes. Well, with some of our people, it might take a few minutes. So let me crack back on that. With some of our people, it might actually. But no, fam, you just click on the link. It takes you to the page, and you just like it. You subscribe. So in the days to come, and I know I had said this before, but in the days to come, I'm really going to be hammering on y'all to do that. But y'all really, we thank you, family, for the support. I think we're past 450 followers on here on this page. So this has been a success. Definitely. It's definitely been a success. We just need that same success, and a good deal of y'all to all of y'all to translate over into the King Talk page on YouTube. So I'll be putting the link in the description, and then you guys can I'll be putting the link in the chat, and then you guys can click on it and go right on over there, family. We greatly appreciate it here. So let me go ahead and start the music, and then we're gonna get out of here, fam. That sort of thing. I don't want to keep the time going. Let me just go ahead and where was I at? Hold on. Where the hell was this thing at? Hold on.
No.
Bitcoin.
Hold on.
Don't want that.
No. Did you hear that little bit of Bitcoin that came in?
Yes, I did. I heard it.
So this
There we
concludes
go.
this concludes another episode of King Talk family. Sometimes when this comes on, it's weird. It's like I almost feel like that chick from Romper Room
Oh no. Oh God.
when she said, I see Cortez and I see Alex and I see this. I see. Remember, and you always wanted her to say, "Where's my name?" You never said.
No. I ain't want Becky talking to me. Anyway,
I want her to say my name, though. You know. But this is not Romper Room family. This is King Talk, and
a lot of people don't even know what the hell that is.
they don't know.
Like, what is Romper Room? You're gonna look that up.
But a lot of them, hey brother, but a lot of them do know what that is.
Yeah.
All right, family.
All right, family. Thank you. Love y'all.
Call me. You look a little spent, but call me when you.
It's been a long day. That's all.
Right.
I was running around again today before I came in. Here.
Right. So
yeah.
Like I said, when you get some, when you get your rest, just give me a call.
Okay.
All right, family.
All right. Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Peace.